Hello YouTubers, my name is Frederick Lopez and you are in an all-new My Favorite segment. Today I'm going to be going over my personal list of my least favorite to most favorite Planet of the Apes films. I recently just saw War for the Planet of the Apes and I thought it was an incredible film, and after seeing all of them, including the 2001 remake, I decided to rank them from my least favorite to most favorite. Now, this isn't going to be from like worst to best, but it's going to be my personal favorites personally. So if you disagree, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Let me know what is your favorite and least favorite Planet of the Apes film. Anyway, starting at my least favorite is Battle for the Planet of the Apes. Now, this isn't really the film's fault, more so the budget. Each sequel had a lower and lower budget. It wasn't like now where you had a higher and higher budget. So by 5 films they're already kind of spent, and Conquest for the Planet of the Apes just has such a cool fight and Battle of the Apes uprising that you couldn't really go any further here. However, despite that, it's just not as good as the other ones, but it is a solid film on its own, even though it's not as strong as the previous ones. And it does have a bit of an optimistic ending. So for that, I like it for that. Ultimately, Battle's not a bad film, it's just not as strong as the other Planet of the Apes films. After that, I would probably have Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Escape, again, has Cornelius, and they basically escape the Planet of the Apes before it gets blown up and beneath. And they time travel. It's a very different Planet of the Apes films. It's also filled with more humor. It's in the 1970s. It's very different than the previous films. In a way, it's a fish out of water story in the way that Charlton Heston was on a planet full of apes. It's the apes on a planet full of humans. It does pave the way for the future timeline, for an origin, so to speak. Despite the humor, I just don't really like it as much. I don't know, the humor for me, it's good, but it's not as solid as the other films, the darker films, for my personal tastes. But it does have a strong ending, and it's very tragic. It does have a dark ending, which ultimately leads to Conquest. But by itself, again, it's not a bad movie. I just don't like it as much as the others. After that would be Beneath the Planet of the Apes. It's a sequel to Planet of the Apes. You have a different astronaut. I like his character. You have Nova reprise her role, and you also have Charlton Heston and a little bit of a glorified cameo. Other than that, I like it. I really do. But it just introduces different elements such as mutants and apes fighting, and it's just very different than the other one. Even though it is science fiction and honors it, it still feels a little bit like the first one, but it's just not as well done. Story and its effects, and there's just a lot of time underground and the mutants and everything. It starts off well. It just gets a little bit too much by the end of it, but I do respect it for its dark ending with the planet being destroyed. That is such a ballsy ending. In a way, they kind of top themselves over the Statue of Liberty in the original, which I give it credit to where credit's due for that, for the filmmakers basically taking that route and really being the end of the series until they figure out a way to continue it. But yeah, it's probably one of my favorite sequels. Not the best sequel, but it's definitely up there. But yeah, the original is always going to be the original, so Beneath, I just personally enjoy a little bit more than the other two, but overall, all the Planet of the Apes films are pretty good in their own right. Next on my list after that would be Planet of the Apes from 2001, directed by Tim Burton. I liked it. I liked the effects. Even though you did kind of have a little bit of like Michael Jackson faces with the apes, I do like Michael Clark Duncan, Helena Bonham Carter, Charlton Heston's cameo, and you have Tim Roth as General Thade. I love Tim Roth as a villain. Overall, it was a very well done movie, but it just did not have the depth and just original element of the '68 film. It was a good remake in the fact that it did something completely different, but it lacked the heart that the original films had. It was a very good sci-fi film. It's an entertaining sci-fi film at that. Very different from Tim Burton's other works, but it just lacked the sophisticated depth of the previous 5 films, and for that, it's lower on my list. And I didn't like Mark Wahlberg in that movie that much. He's grown as an actor since. He just seems like he's lost in that movie. It's very kind of wooden in a way. I wonder what it would have been like with like Matt Damon or somebody else. Just anybody other than Mark Wahlberg. Other than that, though, it's a solid film and does have the weird Ape Lincoln ending there that was kind of trying to set up another installment, but we didn't get it. It just didn't make sense. He time traveled, I know, but something was more crazy in the original of Charlton Heston actually being on Earth the whole time, where I felt like they were just trying too hard without having, again, the sophisticated story of the original. After that, I would have Conquest for the Planet of the Apes. Such a great film. You get to see Caesar's uprising. Roddy McDowall plays him. You have Ricardo Montalban as Armando, and pretty much you get to see him as slaves. There's a whole bunch of other kind of allegories for the times and certain civil rights issues in this film that are very hidden for not only apes but humans as well. But I just love that ending. And of course it's a little bit more of a peaceful ending. That original ending was dark and did everything before Rise of the Apes. Rise of the Apes was kind of a remake of this. I just love that part of the Golden Gate Bridge. Probably has the most ballsy ending of the movie since the first, and also it's probably one of the most violent out of the series, especially for a G movie. It pushes the envelope. Conquest is among one of my favorite sequels. Above that would be the remake of Conquest, which would be Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I love it. Caesar growing up, James Franco. This film was better than I thought it was going to be. Wada's effects with motion capture and Andy Serkis being Caesar. This paved the way for the new films and again brought that sophistication of the originals while also adding a bit more of a modern touch and paying homage to the original with the space crew lost in space and footage of Charlton Heston. Overall, it ties nicely into Planet of the Apes while doing something new. After that would be War for the Planet of the Apes. I love this film. Such a fantastic conclusion. Deep topics. It's more emotional. It's not as action-packed as, say, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but it still is a solid film and really closes Caesar's story while also paving the way to what we know as the original Planet of the Apes. Overall, it is such a great film with the action, the motion capture, and just all around the stakes in this film and what the apes and humans have to do, the circumstances that shape them. In my second place would be Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I love Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. War's a bit more heavier and better emotionally and story-wise, but action with the story, I just love Dawn. The pace of it is fast. I love the humans and apes finding peace in some way, but circumstances with human beings and apes such as Koba causing them to go to war is such a fantastic Shakespearean type of story. Also has a vibe of like the Lion King in there, but overall they just improve upon everything that was set up in Rise of the Planet of the Apes and adds more to push us further to the original. And that takes me to my number one. You cannot beat the original 1968 Planet of the Apes. I mean, besides the effects, it won an Oscar for makeup and stuff, but like besides the effects, I know there's motion capture now, there's other things, but it is still a well-done science fiction film based off a novel, and I love Charlton Heston's performance. There's just no other film like it. The cinematography, the editing when he crashes, just everything about it is quality made in the way that like 2001 Space Odyssey or Alien is a quality science fiction film. Planet of the Apes is one of the best science fiction films ever made, and still to this day with the topics, the way it's filmed, everything, it was ahead of its time, and I love it. It's my favorite out of all of them, even with the upgraded technology. And who could forget that ending with the Statue of Liberty? We're just like, damn them, they did it, didn't they? Damn them all to hell! And you find out he was on Earth the entire time. Such a shocking, dark ending that other films have parodied or tried to duplicate ever since. It is a fantastic movie. Anyway, that is all for my quick ranking of the Planet of the Apes films. I want to go in more detail, but I also want to keep this short. So, in the comments below, let me know your favorite and least favorite Planet of the Apes films, and yeah, let me know your thoughts. You can also check out my review of War for the Planet of the Apes on my channel. Thank you for watching. Also, if you like this video, click the like button, comment, and subscribe for more videos.